Hi, everybody. This is Chris,
This is Matt.
and this month we are talking about Beyond the Forbidden Forest for a short game. It is our
Yeah, our
short game.
Halloween
Yes,
game.
it's October. Ooh, spooky,
Spooky time of year.
spooky time of year. So we do try to do our two things. This one's Beyond the Forbidden Forest. At the end of the month, beginning of next month, we're doing Alone in the Dark 2. Um, and just our standard disclaimer: this is not a review. We are not reviewing the game. We do this like a book club. We pick a game, we play it for a month, or in our short game, we play it for a few days, enough to get a feel for the game, and then we come back here and we talk about our experience with it.
Yeah, our feelings.
Our
We talk about
feelings.
our feelings.
Talk about our feelings. It's review-like, but it is not a review. So please take everything we say with a grain of salt. It's two assholes with an opinion. There we go. And my first opinion is I love the intro.
Oh my god. Yeah, this is really fantastic. I just love how scraggly the trees look in this
Mm-hmm.
game. And the lightning, the sound is really good too.
Yeah. I love that it makes sense and no sense. Like you've got the branches that are all supposed to be spilling out beyond the Forbidden Forest, and you know that's what it is. But like branches are like disconnected from each other. There's
Yeah.
not an attempt to kind of hide it, but
Right.
I don't know. It's wrong and right all in one ball of wonderfulness.
Yep.
That thing. At some point, I will turn the audio on for a little bit so we can listen to the music.
Yeah. I think probably this game more than most games. I think that's important because the reason this game is successful is because it so perfectly sets this weird mood that you can't really describe until
Mhm.
you play it.
No, and the music drives most of it.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish we could just let everybody just sit and listen to music. You can on our sister channel. I played through this. I beat it. It's hard.
Yep.
But yeah, I would take this soundtrack. I want this on like a collection of MP3s, and I would just play this for Halloweeny times because it's so good. Uh,
Yeah.
I guess Paul Norman started out as a composer, and then decided to try and do things with games to get his music out a little further. We're going to talk about Mr. Norman here in a little bit because I may be in love.
Uh,
Um,
Me too. I am totally enamored with Paul Norman.
and I,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and I know we have some people in the development community who watch us. If someone knows Paul Norman and can get a hold of him, and he'd like to come talk to us for an hour or so, point him our way or point us to how to point at him or whatever we got to do. I'd really want to do an interview with Paul Norman.
Totally.
I haven't seen much else about him, and I think that's terribly underserved. He did Forbidden Forest, he did Beyond Forbidden Forest, he did Aztec Challenge, he did Super Huey. He did a bunch of games that were really sort of pivotal to me as a kid on the Commodore, and I never put together that they were all the same guy.
Yep.
And yeah, I'd love to get a hold of him and talk to him.
Yeah. Did you notice I wore my tracksuit
I did.
in honor
I
of
was
this
hoping.
guy's costume?
I was hoping you'd wear your tracksuit. As soon as like when I picked this and saw it booted up again, I'm like, oh, I forgot about the tracksuit. I'm like, Matt's gonna love that.
Yeah. Yeah, we should talk about the first thing I want to talk about is the manual.
Okay.
Because always say that I'm not going to read the manual. You have to read the manual for this
Yes.
game for a bunch of reasons. One, the way you move it ahead is so strange. It's like F3 to like advance to the next level.
I played this game because I originally got it without the manual for some reason. I mean, it didn't come with the Memorex game disc I copied it onto. I don't know why. But yeah, before I actually bought it for myself and didn't have the manual, I think I played it for like 2 years and didn't know there was a second
Right. Well, at first you don't know that you have to hit F7 to even make the game start. I think it might say that in the intro.
It
but
does. In the
you,
intro? No.
oh, see, okay, so I have a cracked version that has some extra stuff, like it has customizable difficulty
Mm-hmm.
and there's a blurb at the beginning that says hit F7 to start
Yeah.
or whatever. But so you have to read the manual for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it does something really. It does a few things that are really unique. First, it's like a story.
Yes.
And the other thing it does that I really loved was that it explains so many of the weird mechanics of the game. It's hard to explain unless you've read it. It's like he describes when the arrow comes out of the gold arrow comes out of the flowy thing. He's like, and it just appeared in my, in my quiver.
Hmm.
And so you don't have to wonder, do I need to pick up the arrow?
Yeah.
And he tells you kind of how to beat the monsters and the strategies to use. And it's really like an interesting manual. It's like if the Frogger manual explained why the frog was the size of a car, you know?
Yeah.
It's really
And it gives you tips on each of the monsters and what you're supposed to be doing with each of them. Because otherwise, you're just like, I don't know what's going on. I shot it with an arrow. Why isn't it down yet? And it'll say, I hit it with 3 or 4 arrows before it finally fell. Like, it lets you know some of these things have hit points. You're going to have to knock them down a little bit.
yep. So it's really important. Perhaps my favorite part of the manual was that it explains how your bow and arrow works. So the story is that you're out in the woods and you're testing your new bow and arrow invention. Did you read that part?
No, I don't remember that.
The invention is that the arrow automatically goes up and down. Like that's the problem that society has had with the bow and arrow was that it didn't automatically shoot up and down. So I thought that was hilarious. But it explains the mechanic of the game because of the fact that you're targeting for the bow and arrows going up and down on the side.
To be
Like
fair, in the
that's
kingdom of Com Odor, that was not a thing that had existed before.
yeah. Yeah, like that I thought that was so funny because I mean, it's not hard to go.
Yeah, let's do a quick talk about the mechanics in this game because it is omnidimensional 4D.
Right, that's huge.
It is huge, and it sounds like a joke, but it is actually. This is my favorite death.
Yeah, the mosquito
The
death.
mosquito death is, I think, by far my favorite. The rest are
Yep.
good, but
That one's fantastic.
that one's fantastic. And this game over screen
Mhm.
where it's written in the stars,
The
I love
game
it.
is
The
lost.
game is lost. Um, so you move left and right as you're kind of seeing. You can also move deeper and back. So it's sort of like that, late 80s beat 'em up style game where you can move up and down and left and right.
Mhm.
But then you'll see there's 2 bars on the edge of the screen, and that is the height at which I'm going to shoot my arrow. And so, like, you hold the button, you got to stop moving, hold the button down. That makes those go up and down. And then you push in a direction left or right or forward or back. You got a 360 spin on where you're going to shoot the arrow at that height. So there's a whole bunch of things you've got to sort of balance out and plan for to launch an arrow. And this game's not slow.
No. No, and it's exactly as hard as it sounds. The way you described it, it's not like, oh, once you do it, it's fine. No,
Once you
it's
get the hang of
it's
it.
really hard. And like especially I noticed with the scorpion,
Mm,
because it's so low, you really have to be back from the camera to get the distance. Like if you can do it right at the front, but it's so
mhm.
close to you that you have to keep it right on the very edge of the screen and it's quite challenging.
Well, and this is one of the things, like we just said, it's really hard. And it is really hard, but it's learnable. It's not unsolvably hard. You start learning tactics as to, okay, this monster jumps like this or moves like this. How do I eventually, come up with something? What are my problems with the way this thing's fighting me so that I can beat it?
Hmm.
Uh, with, I think, maybe the exception of the worm. The
I
worm
hate
is
that worm.
there's things you can do, like if you get right up next to it and do what I did and just bam, 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 machine gun it in,
Hmm.
um, you'll take out the worm.
I think
Uh,
the problem with the worm is that it feels way more time boxed than the other creatures. Like you feel like you can run from everything except the worm. Because like if you miss it like 3 times, I swear it just pops out and eats you.
I think that's the mechanic, and that I was discovering that only even though I've played it all these years. Now that I'm looking at it with a critical eye, it felt like 2 or 3 misses, and then it just ate you. If you missed a couple times, like don't fire until you're sure you got a shot. But once you missed that second time or third time,
And I'm also gonna disagree with you. It's not just the worm; it's also the red fucking bat in the next part. That felt like luck.
I eventually got a strategy for the red bat. Oh, the
The
red
red.
no, the red bat. Just fire like crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's too fast. Like you can't plan it out. It's totally random.
No, you
So
just gotta start shooting. We'll
just do
we'll
your
talk about
best.
the bat. I thought you were gonna talk about the stompy monster,
Oh no,
the
no, I
frog.
figured that out.
Yeah, I eventually got some strategy for the frog. Mosquito's hard, but it's only one hit. And it's just because it's all over the place, where everything else is on the ground. And I think that's sort of a sad thing about the game. It does this omnidimensional 4D where you gotta up and down it, but then most of your monsters are all one level. So once you
Hmm.
get a level, you really don't mess with it. Like,
Yeah, you don't feel like you're aiming. You feel like you're just biding time till the bar gets where you want it to go.
yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah. And you're biding time till the bar gets where you want it to go, and you're waiting for the monster to then move to that bar. I don't think it's as successful as a mechanic as it could be, but I don't feel like it's a bad mechanic. For a one button joystick, this is a solid way to give you not
Exactly.
just the 360, but the like 720, the full orb. I'm doing a hand gesture here of like spinning an orb, um,
Yeah.
to really give you the whole feel for where you're aiming. It just it wasn't used as a game mechanic, and I guess that's one of the things where it shows he's a music composer and sort of a storyteller over a game developer.
Yeah.
Not that he didn't go on to make more games that were very good, not that I don't like this game, just a, a someone who focused on game development would have done more with the mechanic.
Yeah. Right. Right. The time I used it the most was actually on the red bat. Like I would get in the back and then fire toward the camera.
Oh, that's interesting.
That
Okay.
seemed to be the way I was able to get rid of the bat. Um, but yeah, it's kind a little bit of a missed opportunity, and like in the later level in the cave, sometimes you get behind stuff and you just kind of vanish,
Mm-hmm.
which is frustrating because you don't know where you are, and
Yeah, there's like a
you
little cave you can duck in and come out of. Yeah.
yeah, which is cool. Like it does give it a lot of depth,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it also just kind of makes it a problem sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
it was a like it was probably a big undertaking to accomplish, that level of depth and have some kind of mechanic where you can shoot.
well, right, because this isn't done with traditional, like when we think of 3D engines and 3D graphics and stuff like that, that wasn't an option. You couldn't just put a camera in one spot and go, okay, as it gets further away from you, it will naturally get smaller. No, this is, he had to code, okay, when you're at this level, this is what your sprites look like. When you're at this level, this is what your sprites look like. And he had to do that for all the monsters and the character and the arrows and the trees and
Mhm.
all of it. Um,
And it looks like pretty good. Like even with your dude at a distance, you
yeah,
can,
you know what it is.
yeah, you can see it.
It's better than Atari graphics, which at 1983 was more than you could hope for. In the parallax scrolling, I've always been very impressed with. The trees move at different rates as you run left and right.
Yeah.
There's probably some physics questions and how fast they move, but uh, it never takes you out of the game. Uh,
Right.
is there anything that takes you out of the game when you play this?
Um, Nothing really. No. I, c- getting lost in the cave where you can't find your guy, that did, but if you're just a little careful and once you kind of identify what's happening, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's pretty solid.
And I mean, this is your first come at this, too.
Right.
So,
Yep. I had never played this before.
yeah.
What I really love about the atmosphere is not just the deaths are probably the thing that stand out the most because
Mm-hmm.
every creature kills you in a different grotesque way, which is
Yeah.
fantastic. Uh, the scraggly trees and everything is great, but I really love that crazy orb thing. Like you just don't know what it is.
Oh, that comes down and throws an arrow at you? Yeah.
Yeah,
Why is that there? What's going on?
yeah. And it doesn't like explain it in the book. It talks about it, of course, uh, but it's just so weird. It's like just this thing that flies around and rewards you with golden arrows and resurrects you when you die.
Yeah. Next time my guy stops moving, I'm going to pause this for a second because there's something I noticed this playthrough. Oh, there it is. Look at the ass on that guy. Look at it just
Oh
jut
man,
out. That guy's got a rear shelf, man.
can fill out a tracksuit. That's for sure. Yeah, he's stacked.
He's stacked. Um, I just noticed that this time when I was playing, I'm like, oh my god, he put a lot of ass on this guy.
Oh
I know,
yeah,
I know, there's a pixel size issue, but I
right.
don't know.
Yeah, if you got it.
Yeah. In this playthrough, I actually used some save states to try and get as far as I could in some things.
Yeah, it's really hard, and it's not varied enough that it keeps you wanting to play it constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to get better at it to a degree, but this is one I would definitely encourage you to use save states on.
Yeah, it's a short game too, so it's
Yeah.
even if you don't, it's 4 monsters in the woods, and then the bat, the hydra, and the demogorgon in the caves, and that's it. So there's 7 monsters. You fight monsters in the woods until you have enough arrows to go into the caves. Because every time you die, you lose half your arrows. Except in the caves where you only lose 2 arrows.
Yeah, again, like I played a cracked version
Yeah.
of the ROM, so I felt like it did things to make it easier for me. So
Mm-hmm.
I would like to try an uncracked one, uh, just to see because I never ran out of arrows in the cave at all,
You
even though I said no to unlimited arrows.
Yeah, no, you only lose arrows like when you die or when I think when you're shooting the demogorgon.
Okay.
I think everywhere else you just have unlimited arrows,
Oh,
which
okay. That makes
yeah.
sense. Yeah, that's kind of one of the problems with those cracked versions is you don't know
Mm-hmm.
what's you and what's.
No.
And it also introduced a lot. I had a lot of technical issues with it too. Uh, you can if you go to the Let's Play channel, you can see some of them on my playthroughs where it freaks out.
Yeah, and I mean with the old games and like the trainers, this is one of my huge critiques about, copied games and the desire to archive and preserve them. A lot of times what's being archived and preserved is a cracked version. And
Hmm.
that's not the same. That is never the same. It's never. We're already putting these things through emulators, which is diluting the experience already.
Hmm.
Um, Having the trainers and stuff on them, I think, should be preserved as well, but it's not the same as having a pure source code game.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, the time of day changes.
Yeah, that's very cool. It again adds to the mood
Mm-hmm.
really well. Uh, in the cave too, like once you get in there, it feels really cavey. Like it
Yeah.
it feels distinct from the forest. So it like I said, it really totally succeeds
Mm-hmm.
as a mood piece and a weird world.
Yeah. Why don't I just take a moment here because I think the cave part's coming up. I'm gonna put the sound on for a few moments.
Yeah, let's listen to it.
Now this is the worm music. I'm gonna turn it down a little so we can kind of talk over it. Each monster has its own theme music. Then there's a wandering music. Um,
Yeah, and the intro's got some really good like thunder sound effects too. I
yeah,
really
I'll go
like
back to
that.
that in a second too, and I'll jump around in the video here a little bit just so we can get all the stuff on. Um, you asked a question. Let me turn it down a little more. You asked a question about joystick and port 2.
Oh yeah. So if you're using this on an emulator with the joystick, you have to set it up at joystick port 2, and I understand it's that way on the original, and I didn't know why that is.
Yes. So a lot of a lot of Commodore games use port 2 because port 1 to save like transistor space or something like that, like the A and Z and X and stuff over there are also the same inputs as the joystick port 1. So a lot of games just defaulted to port 2 because that had a dedicated joystick controls. That's why. And if you're an
Gotcha.
old Commodore user, you just know it starts in port 2. And every time someone has a game that runs in port 1, you're like, why?
Why didn't they just make port 1? Well, I don't know. Who am I to argue with the people who
Why don't
designed
you
the
just make
Commodore?
10 louder?
Yeah. Yeah, I think understanding that Paul Norman, a little bit about him, makes me appreciate this game so much more, because like knowing that he's a music designer, he learned assembly just to like make
Yeah.
this game because he wanted to capture that, or
Mm-hmm.
not this game, but
But
because
games.
there was
Yeah,
a Forbidden Force before this
there
one. But
was.
uh so you can tell he viewed it as a, yeah.
I'm going to pause here because I love this runic writing. I love the like edginess of it.
Hmm.
Um, some of my early maps I made for games used this as like a template concept. I'd write it on the side like this as like a kid because like, oh, so metal.
Yeah. The earth trembles. Yeah, fantastic.
Just fantastic. Just so yeah, no. Started as a music composer. Learned assembly for this. Um, the music is definitely the centerpiece of the game, but the mechanics are something that's really interesting,
Hmm.
especially for the time out there. Not, I don't know of other games doing stuff like this. So if there's another one, point us at it. I prefer this to the original, which is why I wanted Matt to start with this. Is also my first Paul Norman game. His website I wanted to talk about.
Yes, his website is something.
His website is something, and I want to preface this with I like it because
Right.
it might sound as we talk about it like we don't like it, and we do a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, it's got a very like 90s uh aesthetic to it. It's all full motion video, and I was thinking about it today, how to explain it, and the best I could come up with was, do you remember when CD-ROM first came out?
Yes.
And everything was full motion video, and it was really exciting, and it was like, this is what the future is going to be like. If you take that and you put it on the web,
Mm.
that's what Paul Norman's website is like, and it's really creative, and you can tell he cares about stuff, but it's definitely calls back to that era.
Yeah. I think when you showed it to me, I was like, it's like someone built a website in 1996, went, nailed it, and never touched it again. And I don't disagree with the nailed it. It feels like what websites should have been like. They're way more interactive. I mean, don't get me wrong. Navigationally, ease of use wise, it's it's not there. But as an experience, as a Paul Norman experience, that's fantastic. And then going in and reading his history and reading his views on like net neutrality and how he like pushed back against certain things that tried to yeah, at that point I was hooked. I was a
Yep.
Paul Norman fan going in, but get me the T-shirt. I'm ready to sign up.
Yeah, and he clearly cares about like the internet as a form of expression, and computers as a form of expression, and I think that's just great. And like one thing, like there's not a single ad on that website because it's all flash, and it's like this real video-y.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. It's we, I don't know if it's okay to put a link to it. I
We
guess, I mean
will.
it's
We're
on the
gonna.
internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Digitarius.com. It's interesting. It's a really
go
just
check it
cool,
out.
yeah, callback.
It's a callback, and it made me feel like, again, like I said, navigationally, it's not a good site
No.
because it's not a clean thing. But it makes me wish there were more website experiences, and that is something that we were trying to do then, and then we just stopped. Everybody walked away from it for ease of use, and we never went back. No one builds anything like this. I don't see this as a common thing. Even artists and stuff will do something that's navigationally clean,
Hmm.
and it misses some soul. There's no heart to some of these websites where this thing is all heart, and it's
Right.
beautiful to look at. And I don't think we've ever pimped a website before on here. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you can go out and build a WordPress website with a WordPress template, and they all kind of look the same.
mm-hmm.
But the thing that I like about it is that when you're using it, you feel like you're just stumbling on things all the
Yeah,
time. Like oh, here's another little thing I can click on, another little video.
yeah,
And
it's
you don't get that because people, like, we all decided that we don't want you to stumble on things. We want to have it all convenient for you right
mm-hmm.
there.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that are far more McDonald's, and this is a far more catered restaurant, experience. And
Yeah.
no, it's just good. Even like when you think about this, the little touches he's put in, like putting stalactites and stalagmites and stuff you run in front of and back, that doesn't really add anything to the game. It doesn't, you don't really, it never affects you mechanically,
Hmm.
but aesthetically, it's wonderful.
Yep.
Um, the whole thing is an aesthetic experience, the game, the website, the all of it. So,
Yep. Yeah,
um,
I would happily uh, play more Paul Norman games.
we will.
Definitely. Yeah, I watched some videos of the original Forbidden Forest, and it struck me basically that this looked like if you took that and like just cranked it up and made it the same but better,
Yeah, this feels like a more polished story experience. The first one feels more like a game. And
Yeah,
so
it's
I
more
wanted
arcadey.
your first, yeah, like delve into this realm to be this game. And we'll go back and hit the other one maybe next year because it's a good short game as well.
Yeah,
Um, oh, here's the Hydra.
the Hydra. Yep,
Here's the
but
Hydra.
the Hydra to me is like scarier looking than the Demigorgon.
Yeah. Uh,
So you're behind the.
yeah, I got stuck out here trying to
Yeah.
get back in. Because like if
That's
you
another.
accidentally leave, you're yeah.
That was another thing in the manual. Like to get through that cave, you have to go back and then jog to your left a tiny bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually called out in the manual in like prose in narrative
Yeah.
format that you have to do that, and
This
it's great.
the manual reminds me a little of um, Lords of Midnight, where everything narratively has to be explained.
Hmm.
Where he cared enough, even if there might be some mechanical shortcoming or code, he's like, God damn it, I can't get this to work. But we'll talk about it and we'll write it out in the book. We'll explain it away in the book.
Yep.
Nothing's going to not be touched on. Um, we're going to cover all of it.
You found the magic spot to stand to defeat the Hydra here. I
I
was
did
not
not.
able to do that. Oh, really?
Mm-mm.
It looked
Nope.
like you were hitting him.
I hit a head. You got to hit all four heads. And even if you hit a head, that head doesn't stop. So you just got to remember which heads you've hit and hit all four.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of a pain. And that's why I'm standing here like, what do I
Now,
do?
yeah, you can stand between the fire if if you have the wherewithal to do that. I do not.
Yeah.
I did like runs behind and then forward and try to. But the Hydra fight I didn't like because it felt completely random, and I didn't like that.
Is that? Oh no, this is where I went back and tried again.
Did
Just
you
jump
beat it
in.
on this one? Is
There's.
this your?
Yep. This is. I beat it on this one too, but then I went back and beat it. So. Um, but yeah, I'll beat this Hydra on this one here.
Yeah, I got pretty stuck on the Hydra. There you go. There you go.
And then it
Oh,
like freaks out, and then it
I see. You just have to speed it. You have to do it fast.
you got to duck in there and hit what you got to hit,
Yep.
and then it like slows down and come on,
Yeah, this is
buddy.
an extended death. There
Yeah.
you go.
Like in any other game, that's your end boss. You're
Right.
done. That was your no. One more. One
Nope.
more.
Now you deal with the Demigorgon,
Mm-hmm.
which I was surprised to see that because you associate it now with Stranger Things.
Yes. Which is coming out like next August or something. I'm like, that's not Halloween.
Oh, August.
Something. I don't remember when it's coming out. I'll look that up while I try to find my way to the Demogorgon.
Yeah. Oh man, here you go.
It reminds me of like something from like G.I. Joe.
Yeah, I was gonna say it reminds me of Contra, which is basically G.I. Joe the video game.
Yeah.
It's got a very Contra-esque feel to him.
Next summer of 2019. Doesn't really have a set date, so.
Oh, okay. And again, the way you beat him is called out in the manual, so definitely read that manual.
I'm gonna jump ahead.
Are we gonna spoil this for people?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah, right.
You're not gonna play it.
You are not gonna play through this game. I want you to. I really do want you to. I want everybody to play these games and play them with us, but mostly people to even like people who comment on every video are like, yeah, I'm never playing this game.
Yep. Prove us wrong though, you know?
Yeah. Reverse psychology's happening right now.
Yep. Oh, and he fell in a pit.
Yep. Even if you fall in the pit though, you just pop out again and he gets you.
Yep.
I like how his eyes twinkle at the end after he gets you like
yeah. So good. You have to shoot him in the heart.
You gotta shoot him right in the heart. A little glowy heart.
Again, a total like Nintendo kind of boss situation.
Yeah.
It's always the glowy thing.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
So here we go. Back it up a little bit. Not that. I'll turn the sound back on for this.
So good.
And then good use of the static sound effects too. I mean, good bass, good, just nice touches all the way through.
Yeah, it's really well done. Like just aesthetically. Oh, right in the pit.
So close.
You got it dialed in, like the height.
Mm-hmm.
I feel is just right. You just got to not get shot.
Yep. That's the trickiest parts because it's so, like you can dodge this, but it is not easy to dodge.
No, I think luck and speed.
Like, and I felt like that should have hit. So sometimes if you get stuck, like after you missed, it's best to like jump back in the pit because then it resets everything and lets you get another clean shot. But right where you're standing, if you shoot straight up, it's just to the right of the heart. So you've got to nudge yourself left and then shoot. And I think this is probably the time I figure that out. Yep. Nope. Okay.
Oh man, he's just toasting your ass.
There's not a lot of time left on this, so.
Yeah, I know. We definitely
Gotta be
saw
close.
heaven there, or
Yep.
whatever that was.
There it is.
There it is. Lethal.
All its Commodore-y, staticky goodness.
Yep. Those are nice looking clouds for the Commodore.
No, Commodore graphics were like if you had like two or three colors, you had a decent pixel range to work with. It's when you start getting into the higher colors that it really. And then yeah, it just does this.
And that's that.
That's that. That's the end of Beyond the Forbidden Forest.
And then
Um,
you patent your customized bow and arrow and go on to
right?
greatness, I assume.
I don't know. You're kind of standing floating in air. I've got some questions
Yeah.
about what happens next.
Well, hopefully someday we can ask Paul Norman what happens
What
to
happened here?
Tracksuit Man.
Will there be a Beyond the Forbidden Forest ever?
I would play the shit out of
I
that.
would too. I really would. A Return to the Forbidden Forest would also work.
Right?
Yep, could do a whole series of Forbidden Forests. But yeah, anything else you want to add on this?
No, if you've got your Commodore emulator and 20 minutes, give it a shot just to
Yep.
experience it. Probably don't go crazy trying to beat it, but have fun.
Yeah, have fun with it. Enjoy the deaths. In fact, losing is probably the most fun in this game. Winning is fine, but losing is way more fun. It's just way more fun, um, which is weird for a game. Like to enjoy losing more than enjoying winning. You feel satisfied when you do, but
Right. You can get that feeling you had when you were a kid of like perversity,
mhm,
like
yeah,
maybe it's too violent for you to be playing, which I miss.
yeah. Well, I miss when this was considered violent. The pixels are so pixels.
Yeah.
So next game, next short game, next big game is Alone in the Dark 2. We're playing that right now. We will save our comments for that episode for right
Yeah.
now. Um, damn it, Matt, no foreshadowing.
Trying.
I know.
I've had to keep my mouth shut about it. This is
It's
the second
okay.
time you've mentioned it.
It is the second time I've mentioned
Okay.
it.
We'll get through it.
But the other one is Populous. Short game
This
is Populous.
Oh, I'm so excited for Populous. I love Populous. I have it on the Super Nintendo. I have it on like a Game Boy
Yeah.
somewhere. It's so good.
And Populous is another one of those games I've probably bought like 18 times.
Totally. Like SimCity, Populous.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh, it's Peter Molyneux. Peter Molyneux.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about him.
Well,
I feel like enough has been said about him though that
yeah.
maybe we can just skip it.
I mean, we'll mention it only in that like is one of his first games. It's probably the game that put him on the map. It was an accident.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't the intended game, which kind of says a lot. Uh, I think he dreams big. I don't really have anything bad to say about him. I think he overpromises, but so do most game devs. So,
Yeah.
you know, don't like his work, don't buy his games, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Um,
Don't know the man, so I don't have an opinion on him as a person.
right, right.
But man, I love me some Populous though. I'm
I
not gonna
love some
lie.
Populous. Yeah, I love Populous and I love drama, and he's got both those in spades. So,
Yep.
so we're gonna play Populous next for a short game. Everybody try and play along. That's one that you should have no. There's a million ways to play it, so
Yeah.
go out and grab a copy and play it. Anything else about this, about Alone in the Dark 2, or about Populous that we should talk about early?
Don't
Bait you, just
don't bait me into talking about Alone in the Dark too.
really. We'll get there. It's just a couple weeks away.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. All right. Talk to everybody later.
Bye.
Bye.